Hi, I'm Paul Seal from codeshare.co.uk. I'm here to do another video following on from the first three parts of my Bootstrap static site to Umbraco CMS series. And so far we've taken a free Bootstrap template site, put it into Umbraco and got the pages that come with the static site. We've got an example of each of those pages running in Umbraco now. It's not dynamic yet, but we're going to get on to doing that. I think what I want to do today is focus on getting the navigation menu working so that I can look through my pages without it breaking. So let's make a start. Before I do start, if you do want to watch any of the other videos, they're all on YouTube, parts 1 to 3 so far, so you can go onto YouTube and find that, and you might already be on YouTube anyway. So if I click, the point I'm making is, so this one here is a free template that I downloaded, so when you click on the links they all work nice. Now on the Umbraco version I've got it so that each of the pages looks like that, but the navigation menu at the moment breaks it because those pages don't exist in that way. If we want to get to those pages we have to go into them and we just go to their address, which is /blog /portfolio, etc. So it's just slightly different with the way Umbraco is working with the page names. Rather than being static HTML page addresses, this is using the content management system generated addresses. So what I want to do is, first of all, I'm going to do it in stages just to build it up to getting to the point where it's now dynamically rendered, the navigation menu is. But the first thing, I want to just make these work manually. So I'm going to go into my site layout and then I've got a header. Now we worked out in one of the previous videos that it wasn't worth doing a header and the navigation partial. We may as well put them both into the same one because there's not very much in that header anyway. So looking at, let me just check that the sound's coming through, all looks okay, yeah, that's fine. Right, looking at the markup that comes in here, we've got these addresses. So index, I'm going to get rid of index.html and just change it to be the slash. So that will be the home page. I'm going to change the blog HTML to be just /blog /portfolio /services /about, and just to go back, this is in partials site layout header. You can also get to this if you go into the project and you go through from the web project, views, partials, site layout, header. So it's there as well. The good thing with Umbraco is you can edit these sort of files in the browser. So it's quite handy. You don't have to get a Visual Studio up and running just to make an edit to something. So I quite like that about it. So I'm just going to edit that and then just do Control and S, and that does a save. I'm also going to go back to Visual Studio. I'm going to do a reload on that, on the project, and I'm going to open the file. Where is it? Header. So you should be able to see now that it's made the changes, and you can see these changes on here. So that's good. So that's the first part of what I wanted to do. So now I should be able to navigate through my pages of my site. Oh, I've got something wrong with that address. Oh yeah, I don't know why I've got, is that a 1? Got something at the end of that one. So if I go back, I've made the change, it should be okay. So when I click on services, yeah, it's all working great. About and contact. So that all works. So those addresses are correct, but still it's not dynamic. I've had to hard code those addresses in. So the idea of this episode is that we're going to make the navigation menu pull from what content is actually in the site rather than just be put into the partial like this. Now, also, I don't know if you've noticed, but so there's a click state when you click on one of these, but the active state here, it stays on home. and that's because it's hard coded to put the class of active. Because when it was on the home template, when I copied this markup, that was the active one. And when it's a static site on the blog page, I could make the blog one be the active one, but I don't want to do that. I want to do it automated. So we'll also do that in this episode as well. So I've done some blog posts on codeshare.co.uk, and if we just do navigation, I'm sure I've done a navigation blog post that can help with this. Right, so I think, yeah, I might have already done the navigate. I might already have done all this work, and we might just be implementing this based on the this that I've already done. So I'm going to follow this tutorial on the video, so I'm sorry if that's a bit boring, but at least you'll see how I'm implementing it on this site. If you're following it if you've been looking at the other videos, at least you'll be able to go straight to this blog post, and if you want to do it yourself, you can pick up this code as well. But I'll try and explain it along the way. So what it wants me to do is set up some models, which is a good idea, and I think I should do this because with Umbraco you can actually, inside the partials or the templates, you can get the model that you want to use just by doing a query on the database and get like a list of, or an IEnumerable of published content item and things like that, and then just loop through that in Razor. But it's better practice, because we're using MVC, it's better practice to actually get the pages that you want to display, or get the content that you want, put it into a model, and then use the model on the view then to render. So you can loop through on the view, but you're using a proper model that was defined inside and called from in the controller. So that's what we're going to do, but first of all we need to set up these models. So I'm just going to copy this code. I'm going to go into my project, and I've not got a models folder, so I'm going to add a new folder, models, and in there I'm going to do a class, and the class is going to be called navigation link. And I'm just going to paste what I've copied at the bottom, and I just want it to be I don't want to get mixed up with the namespace and things like that, so I'm deleting the namespace, and I'm just going to copy the class part, cut it actually, and paste it over the one that was generated when I created the class. So now I've reused my code that I put out there for others, and actually I tend to use it myself a lot. So that's the navigation link model, and what this stores is the text, the URL, whether it's going to open in a new window or not, what the target is based on the new window, so should it be blank or not, and the title of this link. So that's the first part. Then we're going to create another model which is going to be a list of these navigation links. I think, or is it going to be a list of lists? Basically, this, if you imagine like a tree structure, a link can have a link itself, and then it can contain a list of other links. Like with any, well, on lots of other sites, you've got, let's see, on bbc.co.uk. So you should see where you've got a drop down. This is a link with a list of links underneath it. So that's what we're going to try and get this set up to be able to cope with. So I'm going to create another model. Actually, do I need to make sure? No, I didn't need any usings in that, but I do need usings in this because I'm using generic collections and I'm also using link. So make sure that you copy the namespaces up. So copy that, and in my models folder I'm going to do a new class, And this one's called what? Navigation list item. Do the same approach. For this time I'm going to cut the usings and put those up there, and then I'm going to cut out the class and put that in there, and I'm going to delete what's left at the bottom. So now it's using my namespace for my project, and I've got everything that I need to, and the navigation link is showing up green, meaning that it's recognizing the model from the one that we created before. So that's always a good sign. So let me just reduce that slightly. Right, so we've got those two models set up, and we're going to need a controller. So if I get this controller, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to create a controller. So I already have a controller. I've got a site layout controller. I might actually use that. I don't think I need to create a new one. I think this one is called site layout controller anyway. So what does it already have that mine has? So it's already got a folder path for the partial views, and so I need a render top navigation method. I need one to get the navigation model from the database, and I need one to get child navigation list. Oh, right, from a page that gets passed in. So I'm going to add these onto this. So I've copied those. I've already got my folder, so I don't need that. I'm going to paste these in here. Now with my render top navigation, I might just use the render header, because it's the same thing really. My partial that contains my navigation is actually my header partial. So I'm going to bring this down here, and I'm going to use that instead. So put the comments above this one. So returns the top navigation partial, the top navigation in the header partial. So render header partial view, right? So it wants, so that's okay. So it's this part that we need. So inside this render header, I need to correct the partial view constant name, because it's complaining about that. It doesn't understand what the navigation list item is. That's because I've not done a reference to it at the top here. So I need to do using the name of the project and then models. So now it should be aware of the models that I've got in this project. So it's got that. I also need to reference umbraco.core, I think, using umbraco.core, and that's for the I publish content, or is it .models? Yes, umbraco.core.models. Now it recognizes the I publish content, and if we had a look on here, we'd have seen that I was referencing umbraco core.models, and I was referencing the project models as well. And this also uses caching later on, so I may use the caching depending on how we do for time. So now I've got a render header method, but it's calling the top navigation partial. So as I said before, I'm going to use the header partial that I already have, because that contains the top navigation for me. So what this does then, when the render header is called, it gets the navigation model from the database, which calls this method here. So it gets the home page. I don't like the way it's getting the home page there, so I'm going to change that. When it's got the home page, it gets the children of the home page and so on. And I think from that get child navigation, it's like recursive, and it just keeps calling it down to make sure it's got all of the children. So it's got a model of any link that has its link, its text, and its children until there are no more. So it fills in the model for you. So as long as you're doing the calls for it properly, you don't really have to worry about it too much. You just need to make sure it's getting it right. So when I said I didn't like what it does to get the homepage ID, I'll show you what I mean, because the way I'm doing it is getting the current page path and then splitting it and then getting the position of the home page in the path. It's not very nice. Sorry, Cra, I'm not understanding what you're saying. I do tend to get put off by comments, so I probably won't look too often at the comments. I might look at certain opportunities in the video. Anyway, I'm going to fix this, so I'm going to get the homepage ID in a different way. So I've also done another blog post, and I think it was my blog RSS, and I'm quite happy with the way that I got to the homepage on this one. So I publish content homepage. So if I'm just going to nick that bit off there and I'm going to paste it in here, and we're going to have a look at that and see how I get it. So this time I publish content.homepage equals model.content.ancestors or self, right? So we should be able to do current page dot ancestors or self. No. Oh, what's going on here? Perversion. What are you on about, Cra? You're not making any sense. Right. Hi Jacobs. Hi, good guy John. No, I'm not making a theme. I'm taking a Bootstrap template and I'm putting it into Umbraco content management system. So that's what this video is. This is part 4. If you want to watch the other parts before, you can do, and then you can watch this one on YouTube. So have a look on YouTube for myself, Paul Seal, or codeshare.co.uk, and you should be able to find the videos. Right. So why is that not working? I want to get the current page. So is current page answer right? It should be. So if I just make sure it is. So I'm going to cast that to make sure that. See, I should have that ancestor or self. I wonder why I've not got access to the ancestor or self. So I'm just going to do a quick search, because when it's in the context of the template, it has got access to it. Yeah, good guy John, I am recording this one, yeah. I do it for all of them. I record them live and then I put them on. Oh, you like the background? That's lucky, because I'm not that keen on the background. It's just in my office at work. Right, so I'm going to just try and fix this problem here. So Umbraco. So how do we get to this Umbraco ancestor or self? So I know it's part of current page, but I don't just want it to be part of current page. I want to understand how I can actually get to it from within the controller and not from within the view itself. So let me just have a quick look on here, see if there's any clues on this. It might be that I need to do it in the, yeah, it's because it's going with model.ancestor or self. I don't have access to model. I don't think I do anyway. Maybe current page.content. Try that. No. My website I actually built in Umbraco, so it's not WordPress. Good guy, John. Yeah, so I develop in Umbraco every day for my day job, and I also do my blog in Umbraco as well. Right, so I'm not quite happy with this. Group page dot. I might just have to leave it as this for now and then come back to it and probably fix it on the next one. So I am going to leave it as it is because we're not really moving on with the video. So that's fine. Right, so I've got homepage ID. So the page position in the path, let me just show you this. So if I go into Umbraco, and log in on this. If I show you, right, so the page position on this demo here, I think it's the second one in because the above this is the root. So it should work. So basically that would be the third, and it's just how many levels deep it is. So it's a bit of a slice on that, get the ID from it. We could probably continue with that. Anyway, so this is going to get all of the nodes underneath the home and put it into a navigation menu for me. So then if I go back to the blog post that I was looking at to help me with this, I've got the models, I've taken the methods from the controller that I need to use. Now I need to do the partial view. I need to make this work on here. So now if I go into the header, I'm just going to paste this up the top here. So this is what it needs to use. So it needs to use a list of navigation list item. It's not recognizing it, but that's because it's got the wrong reference to the models. So if I do Fiona Whitfield art.models, that's better. So it recognizes that. So it's expecting a list of these. Then we've got the where it's calling the navigation here, role as navigation. Right, so we've got a helper function at the bottom. So this helper function can go down here. And what this does is it just renders out the links and any links underneath those links. So that will do this bit here. So I've got nav ID equals menu wrap. So I don't use that nav ID. I've just got nav role equals navigation if you look here. Then I've got UL, and this is using classes menu and ID as primary menu. Again, on this template that I'm using, I don't need to use those either. So I can get rid of those. And then it's render child items. Now these items, the LI doesn't have a class, so that's good. The A only has a class if the page is active. So this is going to sort this out for me as well. So it's going to say assign content item.url. Is it the link? So is it the same? Is it the current link that you are on? If it is, then it will set it as the active class. So as it's rendering out the navigation, which is quite handy. So I've already sorted this out for a blog post, so I may as well reuse it in one of my videos. So I'm going to just cut this out here, and I'm just going to paste it in now. There. So now instead of my hard-coded navigation menu, I've got a automated one that is pulled through from the content items in the database. Now obviously I'm filming this live, so it's bound to go wrong. I've just spotted that the icon for the home logo, if we just go on here, I've just spotted that it's got the source of that link is index.html, so I need to fix that as well because that won't work. So I need to just change that to be just the root to the site. So fingers crossed, if I do a build, hopefully I won't get any errors. If I do get some errors, I'll just have to fix them, and you'll see how I fix them live. And if I don't get any errors, then it's all worky. So let's have a go. It doesn't usually work first time. Come on, let's be honest. I'm hoping it does though, but it won't. Going to get a yellow screen of death, I bet you. Yep, yellow screen of death. So it doesn't like the homepage positioning path. Rubbish. Yep. So I'm wondering if that needs to be a 1 instead of a 2. Off by 1 errors. That's one of the 3 problems in programming. So a classic joke. Naming and off by 1 errors. It's pretty sad, really. So I've just changed that to be 1. And we'll see if that works, because I was on the home page and it was trying to look at the level. It was splitting the path, so the path for the home page would be probably -1, comma, and then the ID of the home page. Whereas with this, I'm a level down further than that. No, I'm not a level down further than that. Sometimes what I like to do is offset my home with another node above it, but I haven't done on this project. Anyway, while I was talking, I was doing a bit of distraction technique there. It looks like it's actually worked. So the navigation is now working. It's also adding the active class on for me, and it's all generated dynamically. And one of the good things about this is I can reorder the pages underneath my home node. So if I want on my menu here, if I want blog to come after services, I can just drag that down and save, and then refresh. So now blogs come over here. So if you remember when we started out, it was just hard-coded URLs. Now it's actually dynamic, based on the model of the content in the site. And if I had any items underneath these items, as long as the template permits with the styling, it would also render these as drop-downs for me as well. So I feel like I've skimmed over this and just got straight on with actually using it, but it's not very complicated. Let's just go back through it again. So I've on my template, which is web base, for all pages I want the navigation to show. I call render header from the site layout controller, and that calls this here. And render header gets a model called nav, and it gets that model from this method. If I F12, that takes us down to this method here. It finds the homepage ID. It gets the homepage ID as an iPublish content, and then it creates a list of navigation list items, and then it adds one to it for the homepage. Then it also adds a range of items by calling the get navigation list method. And in this, it just gets the children of the page that it starts with and adds them to the list. And if that's got any children, it adds it to its list. And then that's generated my model for me. And then in the view again, if I just show you this, so all I had to do was just call render child items, the model that I've already got, and then it just if the list item isn't null, and then for each of the items inside it, it will render a link and it will render its children, and it will call itself again if there are any children. As simple as that. So you can use that if you wanted to, if you're using Umbraco. So now this site has now got a working navigation. And what I can also do is use a bit of caching on this as well, which I'm going to do. So because that is calling the database every time, it's not very efficient to keep querying the database every time the page loads just to get the navigation. So one good technique for that is to use caching. And even if you use caching just for a minute, so if it expired after a minute and then you get it again, at least during that session, like maybe someone's not on the site for very long, but they go to a few pages, at least it's not going to be having to get all of those pages, get that navigation every time they go on a different page. and also it will benefit any other users that are on at the same time. So let me show you this here. So I talk about it on this blog post as well. So this is how you'd use caching for it. So it's the same controller, but I'm adding this extra method on at the bottom of the controller. Now I know controllers, they should just be for the behavior between the view and, you know, telling it render it, do this, do that, and then the actual logic should be off in a separate library. But for ease of demonstration purposes, I've just got the methods in here. I've not got myself a separate library that I'm putting all my code in. So I do apologise. Now we've got some errors here, and this is because of the caching reference that we need. So we need to use system.runtime.caching. That will stay lit up there, and these will be happy with that soon. Now the reason they're not happy with that is because I don't have a reference to it in the project. So I just need to go to references, and if we just have a look down the list, so it shows that we don't have system.runtime.caching. So all I have to do is part of the framework anyway. All I have to do is just search down the list of libraries within the framework that I can use, and there it is, system.runtime.caching. Press OK, and then it will work out that it's got them, and they light up then without any errors underneath them, so it can now use them. Then what it also does, if I just go onto here, instead of getting the object from the database, I can tell it to get it from the cache. Right, so where it says object setting function, that would be where I call get navigation model from database. So I'm going to change that to be, so actually it's this bit here. So on the render the header part, I need to change how I'm calling that and go up to it. And so just so you can see the difference, I'll put it one underneath the other. So the original way I was telling it to generate my nav by getting it from the database. Now this way I'm saying get the object from the cache, and it's going to come back as a list of navigation list item. And this is the name that I want to give it in the cache. This is, so that's this part. This is how many minutes I want it to stay in the cache before it expires. And this is the name of the function that I need to call if it doesn't exist in the cache and I need to generate it again. So that's get navigation model from database. So now I can just delete the line above because I don't want to do that on every time. I've got the method in there that will do the caching, so really all I need to do is do another rebuild and it should just work. And if I do have time, I should have a couple of minutes, I'll be able to just step through and just show you how it decides I've got that, I can carry on, or no, I don't have that, I need to generate that and put it into the cache. So let's have a look at the site. So if I do a refresh now, so on the first try it will generate it, it will put it into the cache. So then this is going to prove that it's getting it from the cache for us. Right, so there it is, it already put it in the cache, but it's doing it on every time. So that's the one we want to avoid. We don't want to have to do that on every time. So with the way I'm working with IIS, the way I've got the site created in there rather than using local IIS, I don't know if you've noticed, but I haven't been debugging by clicking on, I haven't been running the site by clicking on the run button. I'm actually using the site as if it was when it's hosted. So the way I then debug with that sort of site is attached to process, and then I make sure I've got show processes from all users, I press W to get me down to this. This is the process name that I need, and then I choose the right app pool. So this is Fiona Whitfield Art as the app pool that I need to use. So I attach to that process, and then I can put a debugging pointer in here, mark. So on the get from cache method, I'm just going to put a marker there. I'm going to refresh the page. Now we've gone into this. So just to show where we came from to get into this, on the render header it says get the object from the cache. And then if we go down to this, we're telling it what name we want to give it, how long we want to keep it, and if we have to call it again, then it's this name of a method, the delegate method. So it says cached object is this cached object with this name from the cache. Have you got a cached object? And it says it's not null, so I do have it, so I can return that cached object. And that's it. It just found it from the cache by its name, like a dictionary lookup, key value pair sort of thing. It's got it, let's use it. But if we were to come into here, if I refresh again, if we were to come into here and it didn't have that object, let's just say it didn't, then it would set up the policy for the cache item. It'd set the expiry date based on the number of minutes. So we're just saying add another 5 minutes onto now. And then it will get its cached object by calling the setting function that was passed in. So if we F11 into that, you can see it goes into the get it from the database. That then sets up the navigation model and returns it back. And there we have the object. And here it's returned it as a list of navigation list items. If we just have a quick look, so we've got a list item. This is a link called home, and that's its URL. And it's got no items under it there. This is a link, portfolio. So none of these have got items under them. And that's it. And then it renders it again. So that's how I can get the navigation working on an Umbraco site fairly easily, and even using caching as well to save on calls to the database. So I'm going to leave it there for now. On my next video, I'm probably going to start showing you how you can add properties to edit the content in the site. I'm going to upload this video to YouTube as well. And if you are watching on YouTube and you enjoyed the video, please click like and subscribe to my channel so you can see the future videos from this series and any others that I do as well. And thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.